Good morning, Dave Kenworthy here again. It's the 2nd of the 10th, 2021, and today I'm in very excited mode. I know you won't be able to tell, but honestly, I really am. I found this article by Sigurd Towrie, who lives on the Orkneys, and he wrote it on March the 1st, 2013. In the Frontiers magazine that's produced by people that live on Orkney. And it's still being produced today. But this article is absolutely tremendous because it's about Orion. And I've never been happy with the representation of Brodgar and the Stennis Stone Circle in the eclipse model, because they're so far away from Stonehenge and Avebury. I just wondered what the designer's intentions were when they were actually laying down the stone circles, and what Sigurd has produced in this article is an analysis of Orion theory. And he's got his own theory, and it's absolutely stunning. And he says, even to those, you won't be able to read this, even to those not remotely interested in astronomy, the pattern of the stars is one of the most striking and recognisable in the night sky. 4 bright stars form an hourglass shape around Orion's belt, a band of 3 stars forming a straight or almost straight line. He says, as a child I took pride in being able to point out Orion, and even back then recognise the fact that it was a winter constellation. When Orion was high, you knew that Christmas was nearby. And then he talks about the Thornborough Henges, and we already know about the Thornborough Henges and Orion from the work of Knight and Butler. And this is where it all started for me, when I bought their book Civilization 1, and then I ended up buying Thom's 3 books, and then eventually I managed to get Berryman's Historical Metrology, and everything fell into place. And now I'm revisiting my original presentation in this series because it can be updated, and it can be updated for a circle on the Orkneys that I've been totally unaware of until yesterday. And then that's when I slipped into excitement mode, because this article is just something else. It really is. It says, as I mentioned above, I always wondered about the layout of the 3 henges in the Orkneys World Heritage Site. Standing stones o' Stennis, Ring o' Brodgar and Ring o' Buchan. Shame on me that I'd never heard of the Ring o' Buchan when I've been studying this stuff for such a long time. And I'd never realised that the layout potentially was Orion's belt. And now we can see exactly what the designer's intentions were. They were looking into the winter sky, and they were focusing on Orion, and they laid out Orion's belt on the Ness, on the Orkneys. And it's just something quite fabulous. And this article is brilliant. And I won't go into it because of time, but this is what he says. From the Ring o' Buchan, looking down across the Ness of Brodgar, the stones of Stennis are almost exactly southeast, actually a few degrees to the south. A prehistoric observer standing at Buchan at midwinter would see the giant Orion rising over the Stennis monument. See illustration right. So, for example, were we sitting at Buchan at midwinter 2500 BC, perfect date, exactly the date that we're expecting, which by our calendar would be January 9, Orion's belt would appear above the southeastern horizon in the gap between the Firth and the Orphea Hills around 4:30 p.m. Orion's rising would be followed shortly afterwards by the appearance of the star Sirius, one of the brightest objects in the night sky. So now we know. He goes on to talk about Mace Howe. Now I wonder about Sirius and where that's represented, but probably Sigurd will know. But anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to put Buchan into the eclipse model and see what happens. And I promise you, you are going to be so shocked by this after the last presentation. So being a bit of a technophobe, you need to be careful now, because we're opening up computer number 2, my laptop, to be able to see what's going on. And there's the ring of Buchan. I hope you can see that, and you can see that I've not set this up very well. I'm trying my best, but these things are a bit difficult for me. Move that back a bit. I think we're just about there. But what I'm going to do is drag a line from the ring of Buchan down to Hengistbury Spit, and this will give us our third line on Google Earth that proves beyond any reasonable doubt what these people were doing and what their capabilities were, and how we've completely misjudged their abilities, and how Alexander Thom got their abilities exactly right. So I go on to Tools, I go on to Ruler, I go on to Line, which it's already set. It's set in feet, so we estimate the centre of the ring and we start to drag the line. I hope that I can get this. Okay, we pull out on Google Earth and we can see the other 2 lines that are already there, and we know where this one's going already. This is fabulous stuff. We pull it out as far as we can start to see the UK. And this line is running next to the other 2. It's going to end in a point. Oops. Pull right out now, and hopefully we can get down to Hengistbury Head. So we drag that up into the middle, and then we can zero in by using this plus button. And we'll see that we haven't quite got the line right. We need to get closer. Zooming in. Pull this across. Apologies for my lack of skill in using this program, but I can just about get there. Can see where we're going. Hengistbury Head. I have to get this right. I've got to get it right. Spot on. We don't want any messing about. And we can see that it's not spot on. You know, when you close in Google Earth. There. We want it there. That's spot on. So now we can save that. And we can click OK. And now we're going to go to Avebury. And the third line, oh, it's gone. Let's pull it out, but it goes through Avebury. This is the Buchan line here. Still going through Avebury. If we pull that across, we can see that they're more central than we think, these lines. And now we're going to go up to the White Horse. Oops. Sorry, down to the White Horse. We know where it is. Let's pull out a bit. We know where it is from yesterday's presentation. There it is. Pull out. And the line, would you believe, goes right through the centre. The line from Buchan to Hengistbury Head goes right through the centre of the White Horse. Now, isn't that something that is incredible, especially when we look at the West Kennet Long Barrow, and the line from Stonehenge to Avebury goes right through the centre of that and crosses another one of these eclipse lines. So my only problem with this now, it's not a problem, but what's happening to the other monument that's up there in the Orkneys, the Maze How? What does it represent, and does it fit in with this model? And I can tell you, I tested it last night, and it does fit in with this model. And the line from Maze How goes through the key sites. So all these lines are going through Avebury. Let's go down to Old Sarum, just so that Sigurd can actually see this, because really this presentation is for him. Look, I mean, what can I say about the precision of the megalithic designers? Old Sarum was on a hill, and they've cut the top of the hill off, and every other site has been laid down with reference to Old Sarum, because Old Sarum couldn't be moved. They had to have it on this hill. So they chose this hill, cut the top of it off, and that represents the sun. Avebury, they could place it anywhere they wanted to, and they've aligned it with the three sites up in the Orkneys. Exactly. West Kennet Long Barrow the same, that's exactly aligned. Silbury Hill's an offset representing the moon, and Stonehenge is an offset representing Venus. And we've also got Mercury now, because Charles has identified Mercury, as has Melissa, as the same site. We've seen a transit of Mercury, a transit of Venus, and we're about to see the moon wobble, which is what Alexander Thom was telling us these people were actually working out, when the moon wobbled before an eclipse. And where did they work this out? They worked it out at Brodgar and the Orkneys, and Tom's told us exactly how they did it. And now this evidence, beyond any doubt, is proving that Professor Thom was absolutely correct. And I've spent the last 8 years of my life trying to prove this, and now I've finally done it. There's no doubt now. And it's going up to the Orkneys, to Sigurd, for him to have a look at this and make his decision on whether this model that I've put together is valid. So thank you for that.